The unbroken Dominion hung in orbit above the smoldering rock they called Earth, a planet so hostile to life that 17 Galactic Union species had voted unanimously to quarantine it. Magnetic storms that could shred a shuttle in seconds. Gravity 1.2 times standard. A biosphere so saturated with predators, bacteria, radiation, and chemical violence that the Union's own xenobiologists had labeled it Classification Omega-9, Deathworld. And yet somehow, impossibly, a species had evolved there. Commander Kale Veyron stood at the viewport of his flagship's primary command deck, 6 limbs folded behind his segmented back, compound eyes sweeping across the blue and green marble below. He was tall by any standard, nearly 3 meters, with a carapace that had turned back plasma fire at the Battle of Vel Nosser. His species, the Vethkari, had conquered 42 systems. They did not lose. They did not retreat. They did not negotiate with Deathworlders. "Bring the human aboard," Kale said quietly. His officers exchanged glances. The one called Subcommander Relix, a nervous, four-armed Drenian, stepped forward. "Commander, the Union protocols regarding contact with Omega-class species clearly state." "I did not ask for a recitation of protocols." Kale's mandibles clicked once, the Vethkari equivalent of a period at the end of a sentence that brooked no argument. "Bring the human aboard." Ethan Cross had been in worse situations. Not many. But a few. He sat in the holding cell of the unbroken Dominion with his arms resting on his knees, studying the walls. Translucent polymer, roughly 4 centimeters thick based on the refraction pattern. Magnetic lock on the door, he'd heard the hum shift pitch when they engaged it. 2 guards outside, Vethkari, carrying directed energy weapons he didn't recognize but could make educated guesses about. He was not afraid. Ethan had grown up in northern Manitoba, Canada, a place that received approximately 5 months of survivable temperatures per year, where the wildlife included wolves, bears, moose capable of stomping a man to paste, and mosquitoes that could drain a child's blood volume in under an hour if the child was stupid enough to stand still. He had joined the United Earth Defense Force at 19, served 4 tours across 3 continents in conflicts the Union didn't even know about, and spent 2 years alone in Siberia on a survival exercise that his commanding officer had privately called probably illegal. He had once killed a brown bear with a folding knife because the bear had left him no other option. Ethan was not afraid of aliens. He was, however, annoyed. He had been in the middle of eating a sandwich. Commander Kale Veyron entered the holding cell without his guards. He didn't need them, the statement was intentional. He wanted the human to understand the power differential immediately. The Vethkari warrior stood in the doorway, 6 limbs spread slightly in the dominance posture his species used to signal absolute authority, his carapace gleaming under the cell's cold light. The human looked up at him. Kale had studied human facial expressions before this meeting. He had read the Union xenobiology files. He understood that the slight upward curve of the corners of the mouth indicated amusement, and the direct, unblinking eye contact combined with a relaxed body posture was a challenge display. The human was smiling at him. "You are Ethan Cross," Kale said, using the translation unit clipped to his thorax. Designation, UEDF Liaison, 1st Contact Division. "I am Commander Kale Veyron of the Vethkari 7th Expansion Fleet. You will answer my questions, and then you will serve as a messenger to your people. Tell them, surrender your world, or it will be taken." Ethan tilted his head slightly. "That's a lot of words for, I've never met a human before and I wanted to see one up close." Kale's mandibles clicked, not the period this time, but the sharp double click his species used for surprise. He recovered immediately. "You are in no position to." "To what?" Ethan stood up. Slowly. Not hurrying, not reacting, just standing, the way a man stands when he's decided he's done sitting. He was 1.85 meters tall, shorter than Kale by a significant margin, but something in the way he moved made the space feel different. Like the room had reorganized itself around him. To point out that your approach is tactically weird? You board grabbed one human from a shuttle, brought me to your flagship, and now you're giving me a speech. That's not how you treat a species you've already decided to conquer. That's how you treat something you're not sure about yet. Kale was silent for exactly 1 second longer than he should have been. You have no fleet, the commander said. No orbital defenses worth naming. Your most advanced weapons are kinetic and chemical. Your species has not achieved faster than light travel. By every metric the Galactic Union uses to classify military capability, humanity ranks in the lowest quartile of spacefaring civilizations. Sure, Ethan agreed pleasantly. But we're not a spacefaring civilization. We're a ground civilization. And ground is where this would actually get decided. Kale stepped forward. This was the moment. His officers monitoring from the command deck would be watching, recording. A demonstration of Vethkari physical superiority over a species the galaxy called monsters. He would grip the human, and the human would feel what 3 meters of apex predator felt like, and the message would travel: these creatures are nothing. His forward limb shot out. Ethan moved. Not away. Into it. He slipped inside the grab with a rotation so fast it looked like a glitch in the recording. The footage would later be reviewed frame by 40 different Union military analysts, and his hands found the joint where Kale's primary limb connected to his thorax. Not a punch. Not a strike. Pressure. Applied with precise, terrible knowledge of exactly where a Vethkari exoskeleton was not reinforced. Kale felt it. Pain. Real, white-hot, humiliating pain from a creature 1/3 his mass, and before his other limbs could respond he was moving, not because he chose to but because Ethan had already redirected his weight and the physics of the situation had been quietly rewritten while Kale was still processing what was happening. The commander hit the far wall. He did not fall, his magnetic grip pads engaged reflexively, but he was against the wall, not where he had been, and the human was 3 meters away standing in exactly the same relaxed posture as before. 5 seconds. From the moment Kale's limb moved to the moment he hit the wall, 5 seconds. The recording would later be broadcast across 47 star systems. Union analysts would study it for months. The Drenian academic who wrote the most cited paper on the subject would title it, "On the Inadvisability of Underestimating Organisms Shaped by Omega-Class Selection Pressure." Kale stared at Ethan Cross. Ethan stared back. Still not afraid. Still, faintly, smiling. "We evolved on a planet," Ethan said, "where everything, the animals, the weather, the ground itself, was trying to kill us for about 200,000 years. We don't have natural armor. We don't have claws or venom or echolocation. What we got instead was pattern recognition, pain tolerance, and the ability to figure out exactly where to push on anything in order to make it fall down." He paused. "That's not a boast. That's just biology." Commander Kale Veyron, conqueror of 42 systems, said nothing. "Here's what I'd suggest," Ethan continued, his voice the same calm, even tone it had been since they put him in this cell. "You go back to whoever sent you, and you tell them that Earth is not a resource extraction target. It's not an easy conquest. It's not an Omega-class curiosity in a jar." He picked up his jacket from the cell bench, shrugged it on. "It's the home of about 9 billion people who have been surviving impossible things since before your species discovered metallurgy. And every single one of them is better at this than I am." He walked to the cell door and looked at the lock. "You going to open this, or should I figure it out myself?" The cell door opened. Sub-Commander Relix, watching from the command deck with the rest of the bridge crew, realized his upper 2 hands were shaking. He looked around and saw the same expression on every face of Vethkari, Drenian, Sulhuri, all of them watching the feed from the holding cell. The human walked out of the cell, past the guards who stepped aside without being asked, and disappeared around the corridor bend. Relix pulled up the long-range scan of Earth. Blue and green and white. Small. Unremarkable. Classification Omega 9, Deathworld. For the first time in his career, he understood what that actually meant. Not as a warning to avoid the planet. As a warning about what the planet produced. He looked at Commander Kale Veyron on the secondary screen, still against the wall of the holding cell, not moving, processing something that 42 conquered systems had never taught him. Relix quietly updated his personal log. "Do not go to Earth," he wrote. "Whatever is down there, it learned to fight back."